Hello viewers, this is attorney Naresh Gehi and this is a live show on Zoom. So if you got this link and if your Facebook link is not working, then the easy way to do it is to just come to Zoom, and also you'll be able to watch today's show on YouTube live very soon. And Dan is my technical expert, and he's trying to set it up so that people on YouTube should be able to watch today, because there are some issues with Facebook today. So you may be able to watch this live on YouTube. And the best way to do it, it's actually to come on Zoom and ask us your questions. So folks, great news for DACA. So that's fascinating, and welcome to Green Card with Gehi. So we're going to talk about what happened with DACA. The president lost. So what happened is that the Supreme Court told uh, you know, told the Trump administration that DACA will continue to be in place, and people who have DACA at the stage will be able to renew their DACA status. And what Trump wanted was that they should be kind of asked to leave from the country, and that would have affected more than 700 brilliant students in the United States of America. So, firstly, congratulations to all those people, all the wonderful students who worked very hard on DACA, and I'm very proud of their hard work. And thanks to the decision from the Supreme Court, thanks to the wonderful judges from the Supreme Court of the United States, and it was a very close decision. This was a 5-4 decision. And the great news was that Chief Judge Roberts ruled in favor of DACA holders. Now, that was a turning point, and that did not make the administration very happy. So, now what does this mean for DACA holders? So, you don't have to worry about your deportation as you were hearing the news that your legal status was going to be terminated. And after that, they were planning on kind of initiating removal proceedings against you. So, the good news is that exactly the Trump administration lost. And for people who are scholars, legal scholars, and would like to know a little more about it, so the chief judge said that the contribution of these DACA holders is amazing. They are generating billions of dollars in revenue to the United States, and plus they're paying the taxes. And plus, most of them are wonderful people. I mean, that is great. And so that was very nice to actually read the decision. And I'm so happy that I read the actual decision. And I must say that there were conservative judges, as always, who actually went against the DACA holders. And two of them were appointed by Donald Trump. So, of course, I mean, they were not very much in favor of the renewal of DACA. So, but on the whole, we got five judges. That was absolutely brilliant. And now the thing is that DACA holders can happily continue to renew their status in the United States. And we've been helping a lot of DACA applicants lately to renew their legal status in the United States. Now, let's talk about a few more important things for DACA holders. So I get a lot of calls from DACA holders that, Mr. Gehi, I have my DACA. Will DACA lead me to a green card? The answer is no, not yet. So DACA holders are still on their own. They will be able to live and work in the United States. And the administration has not been granting parole to a lot of these people to leave the country and come back, especially if they don't have the entry documents. So people who have the entry documents, they have been allowed to get advance parole. But people who didn't have entry documents, it's sad to state that they're giving them a very hard time to get, the reentry permit. And I think someone needs to investigate that issue and look into it, why people should be getting such a hard time in order to basically leave the country and come back. Now, some other important things about DACA, generally they grant you DACA for a period of 2 years. And in some instances, I've also seen them granting it for 1 year. So the rules of DACA still remain the same. You have to continue to be a person of good moral character. You should not be involved with a felony or not more than two misdemeanors. And you should have a GED. you should have entered the country before 2007, and you should have been under the age of 16 when you came into the country, and you should not have been over the age of 31 when DACA was enacted. So the rules remain the same. Can new applicants apply? The answer is no. So you're looking at people who qualify are people who happen to be in that batch. So besides that, about DACA, now some questions which people ask me is that, Mr. Gehi, can I transfer my DACA to my H-1B? The answer is yes, you can. And if you have not accrued unlawful presence, that may be a very rare possibility that they'll change your status over here. But you may have to leave the country for your stamping if you actually kind of plan on leaving the country and coming back. Besides that, a lot of questions about some DACA holders who actually have been married to green card holders or to American citizens. What can they do? What they will have to do is that they will have to begin the green card process. And remember, folks, that things are going to be slow nowadays, not because of me, not because of your most lawyers, just because of COVID. Things have been a little slow, and immigration is going to slow down a lot. It's not going to be like before that you're going to get your interviews that soon. So you all will have to be patient, especially because you're dealing with some difficult times in the country. The staffing in immigration has been considerably reduced, resulting in backlogs. But what should you do? What you should do at this stage, you need to make sure that since offices are opening up in New York, from tomorrow you can start making calls, and we cannot give 100 appointments to anyone because that'll be a violation of state laws as well as federal laws that don't allow you. But most of the time we all have to work together at the stage. You cannot pressurize your current lawyer, you cannot pressurize your current doctor, because you need to look at everything objectively. You cannot just basically say, I want this right now. That's not happening in today's world, especially because of COVID-19, because your health comes first, your family's health comes first, our health comes first. That is critically important. In terms of DACA holders, some very important questions which I received from our viewers is that, Mr. Gehi, my DACA is currently pending. Now, what is going to happen? If you already applied, the good news is you don't have to worry. They should renew it. So that is absolutely fantastic. Mr. Gehi, the issue is that I got a felony on my record and I'm fighting it. What will I have to do? If you're a DACA holder, try to fight your felony and just make sure that you get it dismissed, or make sure that you get it down to a disorderly conduct. The problem is that when it comes to DACA, they look at your record very, very carefully, and there's a chance that if you get kind of convicted of a felony in the United States, or if you plead guilty to a felony, you can be in troubled waters and you can lose your DACA status in the United States. Now, besides that, some other important issues. Now, some questions that came in from DACA holders were that, Mr. Gehi, I entered with a visa in this country, and currently I'm on DACA. And if I get married to a US citizen, can I qualify for a green card? As far as you have documents, like even if you have your passport to show that exactly you entered with a visa, or even if you have your I-94, then we may be able to help you. So that is very, very important. And common questions are that, Mr. Gehi, how should we reach you? Answer is email. If you want to reach me, it's email is much faster than calling. But of course, you can call also. A lot of people prefer calling and coming to the office. That is kind of pretty much understandable. But the fastest way is to reach us is via email. So that's exactly what's happening with DACA. So the other thing is that the Trump administration was not very happy. Trump was not personally happy about the DACA decision. And it's surprising to see that even, the judges are calling it that DACA is a political decision, which is not correct. And I don't think so, that the judiciary should be making such statements in the United States, especially because, that's where the separation of powers comes in. And that's where the system of checks and balances come in. But it's honestly difficult for me to fathom the fact that the judiciary has started talking about the political branch of the government. And we need to respect the decision of the wonderful judges who have held this case in favor of DACA holders. The other thing which was mentioned by the chief judge was very interesting. He said that uh, uh, Christine Nielsen, even she did not submit a proper brief, and therefore even if the Trump administration intends to challenge this, he has to go back to the line, start all over again, and then after that it should come back to the Supreme Court. So, I mean, I know people have been concerned about that, but the good news is that by the time that happens, it's going to take a good 3 to 4 years for the administration to go back and come back and get it back to the Supreme Court. And I hope that we'll have a better administration until then, and especially people who can think about the contributions of DACA holders. And just for statistical purposes, 18% of the DACA holders have been in the healthcare industry. So one needs to really thank DACA holders. And I feel that the best gift we can ever give DACA holders is help them towards a path of becoming a permanent resident in the United States. That's the least you can do for these people. And I think they've really worked hard, and these are good children, and I think they deserve the best. So another thing which is kind of sad about DACA, about, the current administration is blaming DACA holders. And that is so wrong. And I'll tell you why that is wrong. And one doesn't have to be a genius to understand this. These children were brought into this country. They came into this country involuntarily, which means they were little. If their uncle crossed the border, if their grandfather crossed the border, if they came into the country, they did not know what they were doing. Life of law is based upon logic and experience. This is what is written in the books of jurisprudence. And I read jurisprudence very carefully. Logic dictates that the children are not at fault. So the question is, why is the administration blaming the children? And another thing is that even if I was the judge sitting on this case, a judge has wide discretion. And I'm talking about the other 4 judges. And I believe they need to understand that these children were brought into this country against their will, not from their own will. They did not violate the law because they did not have that. That's why we call them as minors in this country, don't we? And it's written in the books of common law that you cannot basically penalize minors. But it's so sad to see. It's so sad to see that this administration is currently basically, not understanding the problem that these children came in as minors into this country. So folks, besides that, we'll talk about a few other things. Political asylums, we've been getting a lot of calls. So, you can start basically calling us from tomorrow, so we can start making your appointments from next week or whatnot to see us in the office. And that's great news is that from next week, we plan on, starting, we'll plan on seeing a lot of clients slowly according to the law. And the bottom line is that exactly we were talking about taking the question and answers. So there's a question from Vishal Singler. I'd like to find out if someone has spent more than money outside the US due to COVID. That can be an issue, Vishal. I did get your email. So we'll talk about it and we'll discuss. That can be a problem for sure, yes. Because after 1 year, they can give you an issue. Because of COVID, there may be some exceptions, and immigration may consider that because the law is very clear on the point that one cannot stay outside the United States for more than a year, and immigration has the discretion to stop the person from coming into the United States. So we'll talk about that later. So another, due to immigration ban by Trump executive order, can I apply for my sister still? Yes, you can apply for a sister, and make sure that exactly you can email us, Mahmoud Hassan, and we need to make sure that we apply as soon as possible so that we should be in good shape. So that is pretty much important for us. So you can email us at info@gehi.com and we can take it from there. Can you please talk about Trump's H-1B executive order from today? Yes, that's our plan to talk about the executive order in our next show, which will be on Wednesday. we definitely intend to talk about Trump's executive order. But to make a long story short, bottom line is that it's yet to be implemented. And after that, it's not a permanent bar, but it may just be temporary if that really happens. So we'll have a full discussion on Trump's executive order on Wednesday for sure. And a few other questions. The best way to do it is that I'm going to also type a messenger so people know that I'm actually live. You can ask. So I just type so that this is a live show, because sometimes people think this is recorded. This is not recorded. This is actually live. So you can either kind of basically ask us questions here. And of course, later on, we are going to kind of, we are going to put it up on YouTube and on other platforms. But the good thing is that, these shows are live. So anytime you look at the Zoom link, means that's a live show. And because of the demand from viewers, we're going to start the show every Wednesday, and it's going to be from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. very soon. But next on this Wednesday, it's going to be at the same time, but there'll be some changes made based upon the demand of viewers like you. And we are very thankful to most of our attendees. And a few important things which I'd like to inform our viewers. Free personal consultation is meant for people who want to retain the law firm. And that applies to every law firm in America. But if you're looking at completely free advice, if you're doing your paperwork on your own, then you have to call immigration for that. So even if a lawyer advertises, if a doctor advertises, the purpose of the consultation is for the person to just know the basic facts and then consider retaining the attorney. But if you are someone who's doing the entire paperwork on your own, then you should not be calling us. You should be reaching out to immigration directly. And this applies everywhere in the world, and the same principle applies basically, uh, even if you go to a doctor or so. So now I'm getting some more questions. This is from Arif Islam. I'm a professor in NYC, but I'm undocumented. Will Trump's H1 ban affect me? So firstly, if you're undocumented, uh, even if you're going to go for an H1B, the question is that you may have to leave the country for the stamping. So I would be very careful, Arif, if I were actually even thinking about the H1B in this regard. So need to explore some other avenues regarding how to become legal in the United States. So that's Arif's question. And a few other questions, very important questions we've been getting from people. And this is critically important for people who are watching the show all over the world. I'm getting calls from people who are stuck up in different countries. And they are stuck up because their spouses sponsored them or their company sponsored them. But now the consular officer is not granting them a visa. Do they have options? Especially in family based cases, if you're stuck up in a foreign country, there is a way for you to fight this case in federal court, depending upon your facts and circumstances. We got another question from a viewer who actually was kind of held up in his country for some time. It was more than a year because he had a serious health issue. And because of that, he lost his green card. And immigration is not allowing him to come back to this country. We can fight these cases in federal court and allow them to come to the United States. So we need to make sure that you need to exercise your rights. And there's another kind of question over here. Can you explain the difference between ordinary divorce law and divorce law when immigration is involved? Can you help? I got my green card, but it was lost in the mail. It never came in. All right. So first thing is that Amit Paras, there's only one divorce law in the country, and that's exactly a divorce from the code of law. But if you get a religious divorce without a court decree in the United States, it's not valid at all. So that's one good news for you. And if you're in a divorce situation, Amit, the good news is that if you married the person for love, and even that person is giving you a hard time, you have rights in this country. So Amit, you can email me at info info@gehilaw.com. I'm going to move a bit. It's info@gehilaw.com. You can email me and I'll be happy to look into your question. And that can be resolved depending on the facts and circumstances of your case. Now you're looking at a question from Irfan. Hello, sir. How can I renew my F1 from India if I came here to visit family and stuck here due to COVID? And my visa is going to expire soon, but I have valid I-20 till next year. So the first person who can help you, Irfan, over here, is your international student advisor. You need to speak to him and he'll basically give you a new I-20. And also you need to make sure that you're in good legal status in this country. And if you're in good legal status, then you can go a long way. So you need some legal guidance over here. And I'm very much worried about you acquiring unlawful presence in the United States. So that is very, very important. So this is Vicky Rao. It's such a pleasure hearing from you, Vicky. So, I always look at you all the time, and this is one wonderful person who interacts with us on Facebook. Vicky, hope you're doing well. And depends on the service you're looking at, Vicky. And basically, why don't you email me a question, Vicky, at info@gehilaw.com. So, Vicky, I'm asking you to do this for me. If you could email me a phone number and your question, we'll be happy to look into that for sure. So folks, as you're seeing that now we have some more questions. Hello, my name is Nikki. Just wanted to ask a question. What if your applications get denied? Now it depends on what type of application you're looking at. So, if your application is denied, you still have rights to appeal them in certain instances, or you may also have the right to reapply depending on the type of application that has been denied. But definitely for sure, if it is denied, there is generally a blemish on your record over here that they want to make sure that you fully comply with their requirements, and then exactly they want to help you. So nothing to worry, but it all depends on the denial decision. So once you can send me the denial decision, Nikki, then I can look that up and then I can let you know what we can do. And I'm so thankful to these fantastic people who watch the show, especially because this is such a fascinating audience. You all are so respectful. You all are so wonderful that I really feel like being on the show with you folks. And I must say that this is one show I like a lot because of the intellectual audience I get on the show. And people are just awesome here. And I must thank you all for being such a great and a wonderful audience. And I truly respect that from the bottom of my heart. And please make sure that you keep kind of, keep sharing the link and please talk to me. I'm very friendly, as you all can see. So if you have any questions, and there's nothing like a, like a crazy question, you can ask me anything that relates to immigration. I'll be happy to answer that. Now, there's another question here from Rana Samir from Facebook. As I watch your video, tips on regarding visa information. This I need your help that my brother has applied for my 130 visa tag for me. And I'm from Pakistan. Is it possible that I can apply for a B2 for a tourist visa? Now, Rana, my understanding is that the consulate officer has the discretion, which means it's up to the consulate whether he wants to grant you the visa or no. Under 214B of the Immigration and Nationality Act, the problem is that once if an I-130 is pending, you have already demonstrated an immigrant intent to come and live in the United States of America. But if you can let the officer know that you are just going there for a brief trip, then the officer has the right to grant you or deny you the visa. So you can reach out to me and we all can work together and we can see what we can do for you. But, please do not expect any guarantees that, you're definitely going to get your visa for sure. That's against the law for any lawyer or any doctor to promise results in any given case. So this is exactly about what's going on. So now we've been handling family-based immigration cases. We've been handling H-1Bs. And yes, thank you so much for the e-visas. And a big hand of applause to my Canadian friends and friends from the UK and from other countries especially business people who are looking to come to America on an E2 visa and E1 visa. If you are a business entrepreneur, and if your country is a member of the E1, E2, you can do very well in America. And there are companies and there are people like you come into this country on an E1 and E2 visa. We've helped people in this regard, and they've done very well. So if you are in that situation wherein you want to come to America, and we've been doing a lot of E1 visas, E2 visas, marriage-based immigration cases, fiance visas, sponsoring relative, of course, H1Bs, labor certifications, O visas for performers and actors, and O1A and O1B visas. Those are some of the issues that we've been handling with for a majority of our audiences over here. So if you're in that situation wherein you want to kind of uh, get a green card, you want to work in the United States, we want to analyze your situation first, and then we can let you know what we can do for you. So if there's any more questions, we have some participants here. Let's look at some more questions. So any further questions, any more questions? All right, so I love this. So I'm typing to all of you to let you know that I'm still live over here. Jansi Chaudhary from Mr. Gehi, I have one question. Hope you can answer me. I'm an international graduate, done his master's in accounting after, but a student get sponsor H1B through his own reference or by his own relative company. Can he get H1B without cap in the above? So first thing is that the cap is over right now. Once the cap is over, you cannot get it, but you need to look into other ways of how you may be able to qualify depending on your country where you come from. So Jan Zabe, what you can do is email me at info@gehi.com, and I'll be more than happy to look into your situation, and then we can take it from there accordingly. But sometimes folks, things take time because I get a lot of emails, and if you're serious about applying, then we can help you. But if you are someone who's doing your paperwork on your own, I respectfully urge you to call immigration directly and get help from there. Ours is a private service under the law. So this is Attorney Naresh M. Gehi from Gehi and Associates, and we have started taking up cases. Reach us at info@gehi.com or call us at 718-263-5999 for a free initial person consultation. The instant program constitutes an attorney advertisement under the laws of the state of New York. Prior results do not guarantee future outcome. The information in the show is general in nature and does not apply to any specific facts or circumstances unless and until an attorney-client relationship is entered into between the parties. So look forward to seeing you on this Wednesday. We are going to talk about Trump's new changes coming up for H-1B visa holders and how is he going to stop some immigrants from coming into the country. Thank you. Keep watching Green Card with Gehi, live with Attorney Gehi. Thank you, folks.